Hey guys, happy 2019. I hope you all had a great holiday. I know I did. Now, a lot of people like to commit to New Year's resolutions every year. Personally, I don't do that anymore. I've never had much luck with them. But one thing I am good at is creating lists and following through on goals. So I wrote down a list of some goals that I want to accomplish in 2019. And I want to share these goals with you. A lot of them are adventure or outdoor related, but there are some that aren't, so it's kind of going to be a mixed bag. So let's dive into the list. So this first one is something I've wanted to do for a while, and that's start to work on my pilot's license. I know I likely won't complete it this year just because there's a lot of time and money involved in it, but I at least want to start it and kind of get it moving along. Over the past year or so, I've been fortunate enough to spend a lot of time in small aircrafts through the work I do. So I've been really excited about aviation, and I figured this is going to be the year that I start working towards my own pilot's license. So 2018 ended with me consistently creating videos every week. And I really enjoyed that kind of schedule, and it's something I want to see through in 2019. So I'm going to continue to create videos every week in 2019. And this is I think a goal it's going to be a challenge, but I really like creating these videos, and I just need to stick to this weekly schedule because I think it works well. And I hope you guys enjoy what I'm putting out because I like putting it out for you guys. So my third goal is to complete a century ride. For those of you who don't know, a century ride is a bike ride that's 100 miles long in less than 12 hours. Last year I was working towards a century ride in June, and I just didn't have enough training under my belt, and I kind of bagged it at 75 miles. I was just worn out. So this year, planning on doing 100 miles, but I'm going to train consistently until then, and I'm not going to set out when I'm not going to lay down when I'm going to do it until I'm fairly confident in my training. One thing I do know is I want to attempt to do this first 100-mile ride on the Skyline Traverse in Shenandoah National Park. Now there's a lot of elevation change there, and it's pretty tall order, so I'm going to have to do pretty consistent, pretty intense training to be able to pull this off. If I don't do that, I'm going to do a century ride somewhere, but that would be the ideal for a century ride. Like I said, it's pretty tall order, but I'm going to see how I do with training, and if we can do it, we're going to do it. In 2019, I plan to ramp up my hiking plans pretty considerably, and one way I want to do that is by crossing the Presidential Traverse off my list. The Presidential Traverse is a 17 to 23 mile hike in the Presidential Range, which is a grouping of mountains in the White Mountains area of New Hampshire. Each mountain has the name of a different president, hence the name Presidential Traverse. And the reason I say 17 to 23 miles is because there are some side peaks that are optional. I'd like to pull them off if I can, but the goal is to at least get the main 17-mile stretch of it out of the way. I've been playing with drones for the better part of 4 years, and one thing that I've wanted to be able to do for a while is to fly commercially, be able to take jobs involving my drone. But to do that, I have to take and pass the FAA Part 107 exam. And what that is basically a license to fly a drone commercially. So I think this is going to be really good for my photography and video business to be able to do that. So this year I'm going to start studying intensely to take and pass this exam. Nice thing about it is, since I want to start working on my pilot's license, a lot of the knowledge is shared between the Part 107 and a private pilot's license. So I think I'm going to be able to get some added benefit by working on those together. So if you haven't figured it out by now, I like to get outside. So another one of my goals that kind of plays into the whole theme of hiking more in 2019 is to hike the Golden Eagle Trail. The Golden Eagle Trail is a hike in central PA that it's a day hike, but it ends up at a very spectacular view of Pine Creek Gorge. It's been on my list for a while and I just haven't made it out there to do it. I've been out there for other things, just not for this particular hike. So in 2019, definitely gonna cross that hike off the list. As I've mentioned before, I've been fortunate enough to spend some time in a lot of really cool airplanes doing photo and video work, but I've never been in a helicopter. So this year I'm gonna find my way into the seat of a helicopter, one way or another. But I wanna cross this goal off my list because I think with all the time I've been spending in airplanes, definitely wanna spend some time in a helicopter. I think with all of the outdoor goals on my list, it would only be responsible to get some sort of medical training. So this year I've made one of my goals to get wilderness first aid certified so that I can assist myself or anyone else on the trail in the event that they need medical attention. Off the coast of Connecticut, there's an archipelago called the Thimble Islands. I'm not sure how I learned about this archipelago, but once I saw pictures of it, I knew I had to check it out, and I want to kayak around this area. I haven't done a lot of research yet, so I don't know what camping situations are. It might be a day paddle. Ideally, I'd love to be able to paddle out to one of these islands and camp, but like I said, haven't done a lot of research yet, so if any of you guys have any recommendations on kayaking in the Thimble Islands, please let me know. Since buying my truck last year, I've wanted to get a cap and build a sleeping platform in the back of it. My ideal setup would be a platform just above the wheel wells so that I can store stuff underneath it, but leaves enough room above for Emily and I to sleep. This would be ideal for overnight trips where we don't want to set up the tents or it's raining or it's snowing and we just want to roll out of the truck and sleep before we go on a hike the next day or some sort of adventure. The biggest roadblock so far has been finding a cap that fits my truck. But once I do, this thing is going to come to fruition and I'm looking forward to it. Since moving into our current house, I've aspired to build raised garden beds in our backyard, just haven't got around to it. So this year I'm going to build a simple 8x10 raised garden bed so that we can grow some fruits and veggies to supplement what we buy at the grocery store. I like the idea of being self-sufficient as much as possible, and I think this is going to help a lot. Last but not least, I'd like to start fishing again. I remember as a kid going fishing with my dad and brother, and I feel like the world moved a lot slower back then. There was no smartphones or technology to distract you from being present in the moment. So I feel like getting out and fishing again might be an opportunity for me to bring back some of that slow moving world type feeling. So we'll see if that works, but just the chance to get out and sit on the water's edge with the fishing pole and just kind of hang out sounds really appealing. So that's definitely something I'd like to start doing this year. Looking at this list again makes me think that 2019 is going to be a great year. And I wouldn't be surprised if I add some bonus goals along the way. But that's enough about my goals. What about you? Did you guys come up with any goals for 2019? If you did, drop them in the comments below. We can all discuss them. Maybe hold each other accountable for accomplishing these goals, and hopefully we'll all have a great 2019 together. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.